Hello and welcome to episode 29 of On the 50. Today I have a very special episode here live in Philadelphia. I sat down with my good friend and peer, Paul Nalesnik. Paul marched quads at United Percussion and at the Santa Clara Vanguard and has gone on to teach the Crossman Drum and Bugle Corps, the Cadets, and now Carolina Crown. He's also very well known for his battery arranging, specifically at Rutgers University and United Percussion. Paul is a original guy. There's no one really out there that's exactly like him. And when you listen to the music, you really get a sense that he thinks for his own. Just really fresh approach to drumming and to writing, and I've always been a big fan of his work ever since he started writing at United in 2017. Today we talked about a variety of things: battery approach, writing, drum corps culture, education, our own paths to kind of where we've arrived now. It was just awesome to get to sit down with him in person and catch up and talk about kind of all the things that both him and I are super excited about, which Drumline is the center of that. So you're going to really enjoy it. Check it out. All right. Welcome to a very special episode 29. 29 years old. Not years, I guess. 29 episodes old. And have the pleasure today sitting down with my very good friend, co-worker, Paul Nalesnik. Welcome, Paul. Thank you for being here. You'll all see the changed background. We're in Philadelphia. So I just moved here from Durham. So kind of got settled, got a little space chiseled out, and Paul lives in New Jersey. So had to have him out live just to keep it fresh, keep the experience changing. So tell me about how you got into drumming, how you got into being in a drum line, caring about a drum line as much as you do, and now obviously where you're at now.
Yeah, well, thank you to you and FloMarching for having me, and it's cool to be on with the Joe Rogan of band. But yeah, I started like most young drummers as a drum set player. I was a scene kid. So I did like punk rock, like drum set.
I do know.
And like Blink-182 and Sum 41. And so that got me into, getting together with my friends, which, they played bass guitar and sang. And we thought we sounded great, and got my mom to buy me a drum set. And, we were just kind of jamming whenever we could. And interestingly enough, I was a really avid skateboarder too. So I would always bug my mom about taking me to the skate park, So one Wednesday, I was just like, Mom, please. She wasn't having it at all, right? And she's like, well, only if you go to this drum lesson I scheduled for you on Thursday. So I was like, oh, whatever. I really was not about it. But yeah, I went and was introduced to my first drum teacher, Matt Lewis, who was a drum corps, I guess, bass drummer. I don't know which year, early 2000s Boston Crusaders though. So okay. He had some really awesome, just fundamental experience.
And he teaches you, are you doing drum set?
Right.
Or are you on a Remo pad?
Beginner lessons. I remember the manuscript book was number one rebound, right? And he had the 40 rudiments, 50 rudiments. Yeah. So we worked through that, and it was a lot of drum set. It was a lot of just different styles. And I remember he would ask me to bring in different tracks, and we would transcribe the stuff. And then he was actually friends with one of the techs at the high school. So my grandparents were custodians at my high school. And, this was before I was in the high school. So yeah. I knew I was going there. And, I would go on weeknights or whatever and kind of just mess around in the band room. And sometimes the band would be rehearsing. So I would see these drum lines, and I would just be enamored. I would just kind of, just be in awe of actually just the quads. Because I remember, I don't know why. But
here it begins.
I was lucky because, the program was actually really established in U.S. bands.
This is Immaculata High School.
Immaculata,
right? New Jersey.
And Dan Bonham is the, percussion coordinator, or marching band percussion coordinator. And he is one of the most influential teachers I've ever had. The way that he instilled a level of passion and drive in all of us from the very beginning, like it was amazing. As an 8th grader coming in, just like already seeing these
are big drum lines too. I remember seeing 7 snares, 3 to 4 quads. Like they were large.
Yeah, the year before, I think it was only two quads, 4 or 5 snares, and like a normal 5-minute bass line. But the quads were playing some like ridiculous stuff because that tech I was talking about that was friends with Matt Lewis was the section leader. That was his senior year. So he was like the star quad player. His name was Neil Cody. And, he was the one that brought me in as a private student for a couple free lessons, before I got to the first drumline rehearsal, because I would still be in 8th grade because they got together in May. I got to take home the quads. They put together the set of quads from extra drums with like a PVC like connector piece on each drum. And the one drum was like 6 inches from the spock. So I was just messing around and learning how to like double scrape around the drums and whatever.
So you're playing drum set and quads, not much on the single surface. Is that describing it correctly?
Well, yeah, prior to high school, yeah. And then once I got to high school, I was already really prepared for the audition because Matt Lewis had the exercise program from Neil, and I was working through with him. And then once Neil linked with me, then that's all I was doing. I was in 8th grade. I was just drumming constantly, and I felt like I was able to kind of apply myself more to the quads than the drum set because I was starting to expand my like musical tastes and like listening to different stuff. Like I was just all over the place on my iTunes. So I started getting away from that like punk rock feel and just love drumming in general. And then when I got to high school, I actually made the quad line freshman year, and it was like a big deal. And I was the only freshman in the quad line, and it was like 2 seniors, I think, and like a junior. So it was like a lot of pressure on me, and everyone was like, "Who is this kid?" So I would practice nonstop, and it got to the point where my sophomore year, I was like, I was so ready for auditions. I had everything memorized. I was drumming, already some transcribed DCI stuff.
Yeah.
And that year, I guess we were getting ready to warm up for a show, and Neil was like finished tuning, and I would always just like stand there and just watch him play, and he was playing a United quad lick because he actually marched United percussion for 2 years, 07 and 08. And he taught it to me by rote, and he was like, dude, you should go audition. So in 09, I went to audition my junior year in high school, and that experience was so formative for me. Just like the first time playing in the ARC, after you get past like the first audition experience of like, okay, you're in subs, you introduce yourselves, you play through some stuff, and then you get in the line as a high school kid.
So cool.
Yeah, like everyone's there for the same reason, and you're all just going. There's no hesitation or anything.
And a lot of DCI guys were in that drum line. United 2009.
For sure. And even more so 2010, and that was my senior year of high school where we met. And, that was my first time really starting to care about my other sort of performance aspects, like my visual and my like emoting and stuff, because you guys were so intense when you played, and like you had such command over the drums. And, I don't know if you remember, like I would just gravitate to you guys and just like drum with like you and Tigas and Travis and all those guys.
Yeah, a lot of snare drummers.
Yeah, it was just me with the one quad drummer and just briefing the book up and just playing. Super clean in my mind, it was just super fun. It was
United 2009, by the way. You're a junior in high school. They get 6th place.
Right, we were drunk.
United 2010, we get 6th place as well, I believe. I think it was 6th or 7th.
I think so.
But you're in high school doing independent world finals. Not to glaze over that. You're pretty young to be like, you're going on and you're seeing Rhythm X go on pretty much right after.
Exactly. So like we got to watch the top 4 or 5 groups, and just the experience of just being there. Like I was basically right next to the PA judge, and I'm just in absolute awe. I go home, I transcribe everything on YouTube.
Yeah.
I have, and meanwhile, this whole time I'm like an avid Phantom Regiment, just super fan, because they actually came to my high school in 07 and rehearsed for 2 days. So I had like a 9 to 9, was there at like 8:30. like just like cross-legged,
Wow.
sitting in front of the drum line, warm up, and go through a rehearsal day. That just completely changed my life. And then we went to MetLife or Giant Stadium at the time. I just remember on the bus ride home, I had my Scojo rubber tips, and I like was on the floor of the bus, like, how do their hands move like that? Like, and they were just using their wrists. I just didn't know how to use my wrists. But like,
chops.
And they understood how to produce a great sound out of the drum. And at that young age, I was just very much about the technicalities and the physicality of playing and having those chops. I think I kind of went overboard with the endurance practice of just like, how long can you play a roll? How loud can you play a roll?
Yeah.
How fast can you play flam drags? Like, everyone's got that.
But you were probably doing that in high school, right? And I feel like that is a place where that's where you should get your chops versus, you can be trained through high school and play clean even, and you get your ears trained, but you cannot develop the chops. That's very possible too. So I think it's not, it makes you focus in one direction because it's hard to focus on musicality and dynamics and touch when you're worried about playing a triple roll for 11 minutes or whatever.
Right. And I think it just boils down to, like, when you get to immerse yourself in it and get to a level of passion, then that's all you do. So inherently, you just practice so much. Yeah. But there were points where, like, me and my friends, like, there were some heavy hitting drummers in my high school drum line, like Brian Horn.
Ooh, yes,
He had
March
some
United.
Crazy facility at 2011.
Should have made Crown. I think 2010 he went to Crown and should have made it.
And we were really good friends during high school, and he would challenge me to learn new stuff. And as I said, I was a huge fan of Paul Rennick and Phantom Regiment, so I transcribed a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 snare and tenor part, opener, drum solo, closer. I still have that notebook of and I would
2006 Phantom book is probably I think the book in that drum line it's probably one of the best. Cleanliness, the book, the aggression.
Iconic.
Yeah, all that
the metric modulations, and how he creatively, there was this aggression about it, but it was
musical,
very
pacing.
Yeah,
it was always
it
within
went through
context.
Time so well. There's so much direction to everything that he writes. And at that age, I was just dissecting it. I was, literally transcribing and figuring out meters and tempo and dynamics and stuff. And, I became a huge fan. And then when I got to college, I was roommates with Andrew Urbano, and he was actually recruited by Matt Penland, because they were going to Vanguard after Paul Rennick went to Vanguard from Phantom. And Andrew's like, no, I'm going to March Cadets, but I have this roommate who's a huge Paul Rennick fan, and he loves his style. So Matt Penland messaged me. So it was just so coincidental how it all happened. And then I marched 2011, 2012, Santa Clara. And before that, I made Jersey Surf 2009, but I got injured and really didn't know how to take care of my body. And that was prior to the year where, 2010, I figured out I might need to work out. I might need to take care of myself and prepare myself for these rehearsals past just being uber prepared with the chops.
Yeah.
Right. So, once I got to Vanguard, I was a lot more aware of all of my performance responsibilities. And I was actually section leader in 2012, which was really amazing experience because Matt Penland, who was section leader in 2011, became the tech. And, Paul Rennick also brings in a lot of different techs, and all of these people I thought were just iconic quad players because I was a huge fan of every line.
And they're all Vanguard alumni.
Either,
or Phantom.
Crown or Phantom, and now Vanguard, all of those guys. But yeah, it was I started now appreciating the process more. And I heard while I was, on tour my freshman year, we were just walking from a gas station or something. And one of the senior girls was like, yeah, you really don't figure it out until your second year. You really don't figure it out. Or anything because my first year was Devil's Staircase, not a tempo under 192. I'm trying to hang in
on the
there.
brink of death.
It's like
Pretty much.
my first camp, I didn't have the ability, the facility to play through the book.
Like your hands fell off. You couldn't move
we
your
used
hands.
the TS1 Innovative or something, huge puck mallets with like a taper handle. And I was just all front fulcrum because I came from United and I was just chopping out all the time. So I didn't know how to like hold hand.
Did we play front fulcrum? I don't remember there being.
I don't remember the technique.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do remember it was a lot of wrist initiation and a lot of velocity. I believe like the stuff that
Hard for me to remember like
and,
what the approach was. I remember Derek just talking a lot about listening and that it was mostly about the sound you were making, and we all kind of just played how we played. I don't know.
We played pretty loud. We were like beating the crap out of the drums in my opinion.
Were we? It's hard for me to say.
I don't know if you remember, but like
my average is kind of like that.
You watch some of the 2010 videos and like the way we kind of go through some of those releases.
Speed.
It's a lot of velocity. But when I got to Vanguard, it was completely opposite. Yeah. It was like I remember just my only thing that I heard in 2011 was play softer. You're playing too loud. You're playing too loud. You're playing too loud because I didn't have an understanding of the totality of like the sound of the battery percussion, let alone like the full percussion ensemble and the role that I played as a performer. I was just trying to be like the best quad drummer.
So do you think at Vanguard they're introducing your individual voice in that context of the full percussion ensemble? Are they talking to you about that?
100%. I think when Paul Nalesnik teaches music, like that he wrote, like he's very clear as to what role each section has in the orchestration and in the context of the whole program, that you learn to be a part of an ensemble very quickly.